It is Wednesday, folks, and that means it is house tours day. Excuse me. Before we get started, we got a few things we need to go over, announcement-wise or whatever, something I kind of do every day that we stream just to kind of keep everyone up to date on some of the latest happenings. So the first thing is we do have scheduled maintenance for today. That is coming at us, I believe it's 4 a.m. PDT, which is 1 p.m. CEST time. I think the realms are scheduled to be down for about an hour and a half or so. So it's not like a major update, and I believe they've already posted the patch notes that you can look up in the official forums under game updates, I believe is where they put them. I believe we also got a PTR update yesterday evening, but I didn't see any patch notes for that, so I don't know what all came with it. I haven't actually gone to the PTR in over a month, I think. So I don't know. I think it's mostly just with, you know, the RMT stuff. So if you're interested in checking that out, you know, feel free to do that. I know it's not just the raid stuff that's coming. There's a lot of changes that are coming in that are going to affect those of us that, even if we don't set foot in the new Raid Moon Terra instance, that it will affect. I think there's like changes to runes coming, changes to some of the spells and things that the classes. So, you know, it's still something you might want to keep an eye on and get your say in before those changes are, you know, solidified, at least for this go around. Morning, Cheeky. Glad you could join us. I think Floody's around as well, and I know wouldn't doubt Boy and such are on the way if they are not already in. But glad you guys could join us. So yeah, the schedule maintenance, 4 a.m. PDT, 1 p.m. CEST time. Like I said, it's supposed to be an hour and a half, and the patch notes look just kind of basic stuff, some little minor bug fixes and things. So I don't think there's anything major coming out today. That said, I do know that they've been adverting some things. One, for those of you interested in the WildStar soundtrack, Volume 2 is set to be released for the WildStar OST. I believe it's coming. I don't have the date on hand, but it's soon-ish, so you can pre-order that now, as I understand it. I never was able to get the first one pre-ordered, so I'm not even going to bother with the second. Maybe someday down the road they'll have like a whole little series that I can just get the box and call it good. Call it good. Excuse me, got the hiccup there. Hey, Maddie. Oh wait, anyone else? In addition to that, they've been showing that on August 17th, which is when Red Moon Terra is set to be released, that they also are going to be revamping Madame Faye's goodies. So all the stuff that's currently available through Madame Faye's coins is going away on the 17th, and a new set of stuff is coming in. Now, Peregrine was kind enough to post a list of all of the current items that are available, you know, listing it out by little group sets and what's inside those sets, so that if you aren't sure if you've gotten a hold of everything, you can kind of go through that checklist and see, okay, I still need this and this and this, and get it before it's removed. There's absolutely no guarantee, no mention that these things will be coming back. It's just smart to get what you want now while you have the chance, rather than just going on the hope that eventually they'll bring it back. It's not to say that they won't ever bring it back, but you know, better safe than sorry. So if there's something that you've been wanting to get a hold of, like all of that planetary decor, such as what Cheeky just mentioned, the space walk rocks and things like that, if you haven't gotten all that you want, now's the time to stock up, because those will be going bye-bye on the 17th of August. Hey Bones, good morning. On that note, on August 17th, with those items going bye-bye, new items are coming in, and apparently Madame Faye is going retro. That means we have a lot of new like 80s kind of items coming in. There's like some Yoshi themed mount skins. There's some really oddball looking hoverboards and everything, but probably the thing that will affect us most is the new housing decor and remodels. From the picture, it looks like there's going to be arcade games of different styles. I saw at least two, I think, in the picture that they were sneak peeking us. I saw an air hockey table. It looks like some like arcade game style wallpapers, and who knows what else might be in the mix. But I'm going to assume that Peregrine or somebody will probably provide us a listing of all of the items so that, again, we can kind of checklist what's in it, what's available from her, and kind of, keep an eye out for those things. But yes, I agree. Some of those, I hate to say building blocks because just about anything can be considered a building block depending on who's using it and for what and how much they need. But I agree, the spacewalk rocks would be really nice if we could have those just year-round kind of thing. So that's August 17th. So be on the lookout for those things. Let's see. One other thing I want to mention, for those of you that are aware of or have been following AUNI, Coup, and Cruise housing tours. This is an NA side venture. They started up a few weeks ago, and they're scheduled to do house tours on Monday nights. I think it's 8 p.m. CST time. I do believe last week they skipped that one, so there wasn't one from last week, but this week's, just a heads up, currently the titles are switched around. When I looked at it, the latest video said WildStar House Tours, and it was actually an Overwatch footage. But the one before that says Overwatch, and it's actually the house tours video. So if you're looking to catch some of that house tours action on NA side, be sure and just kind of double check. You could either look by the little thumbprint, that the thumb icon image, thumbnail. There we go, thumbnail image, to confirm it's actually WildStar footage, even though it might say Overwatch. But I think it was on Monday nights listing, so just look for that date and time, and that should clear it up for you. I do believe AUNI is getting in touch with Coup to see about getting the titles changed so that it's clearer which video is what. I would also like to mention that AUNI mentioned to me that they are running out of houses to tour. Apparently they rely on those that suggest homes, either their own or friends or somebody they've come across. So they said that if they run out, that they will start injecting, I think it's Rift Dimensions, which is Rift's version of housing. They will start putting in those as well on the Monday. So it might not be entirely WildStar housing on Monday nights if they decide that, they just don't have enough WildStar homes. So to that end, if you are on NA side or know of some homes on NA side that you feel deserve some spotlight attention through their touring, please reach out to them. It's AUNI, Red Lotus, I think, is one of the names. Haiku Jenks, I think. I can't remember the names, but they have a thread in the forums with contact names that you can reach out to them. They have characters on both factions, so it doesn't matter if it's Dominion or Exiles. But if you know of some houses that you think deserve some touring or would like to bring it to their attention, whether it's yours, a friend's, a guildmates, strangers, whatever, please feel free to reach out to them so that they can add those to their lists. And because, yeah, I'm sure there are literally hundreds of homes over there that can be toured. But again, I think they're relying on persons actually reaching out to them to name specific plots. So in order to keep that going, they need more people to suggest plots for them to go and visit. Um, Unlike myself, I just kind of nose in wherever I want, and uninvited or otherwise. So I tend to not run out of places, but yeah, it's you know something. It's one of those things. It's a community-driven kind of deal. If they stop getting requests or suggestions, then they're just going to move on to other stuff. So if you want to keep the housing tours going on NA side, be sure and submit your suggestions. Oh, is it floody? I I tried the game Rift for like, I don't even think I made it through the tutorial. The graphics just didn't appeal to me. So I didn't even make it as far as getting into the housing. Otherwise, maybe I might have stuck around a little more, but no, I don't know, it's too hyper realistic, I guess. I don't know if that's actually a term, but that's what it seems like to me. It was just too much. I mean, we have a lot of detail and kind of sort of realistic in this game and like in World of Warcraft, but I don't know, it's just different. Oh, do they actually have housing? I think I heard somebody mention that Star Wars has it too, but I haven't even seen any examples of it. I didn't know that. Well, there's so many games I don't mess with. So I think the only building game that I've ever actually seen and thought that if it wasn't for WildStar, I'd probably get into that is Minecraft. And that was just because my son has built in it and was showing. Hmm. Okay, so that's all of our announcements for today. I'll probably repeat them at the end just in case somebody wasn't listening or paying attention. But anyway, so let's get started. Today's tours again are on Exile side, Jabbit-EU, and we've got a variety of places to visit. This is the Cupcakium of Calamity Hex. Let me slow her down a bit. This was a plot originally built to host a community event. It was supposed to be the Wild Wear fashion show or something. I was even invited to act as a judge in the competition. Unfortunately, not enough participation, so they ended up canceling the event. But the plot is still here, and I thought it deserved some attention, and I've had a few others suggested, so I'm going to go ahead and tour it today. Basically, it's supposed to be like, I think it's not necessarily like a piece of Thade. It doesn't have that same look as Thade, but it's like it's a marketplace, and then you go into the stadium area. So this is it reminds me of like a desert place, like in Aladdin days or something. It's sandy. There's lots of like an open market. It has like those little scalloped windows and things. And I just think it would be a good place for a role play troupe or a guild to host an event. And you'll see what I mean by that when we get into the stadium part. Um, But here we have a variety of vendors. So they're basically indicated by the wares that they are porting. You've got here, you've got the pillow vendor, like the housing decorations. This one is looks more like alchemy, kind of like got the books and the little like eyeballs and things, all the little regions that you would imagine an alchemist or someone of witchcrafty, voodoo-ish stuff would be using. This one is plushy sales. You've got some other kind of potions. Um, just a good place if somebody wants to role play an open market or a black market kind of event. This would be a good setup. Yes, they do have NPCs in certain places, but that doesn't mean you couldn't populate it with your own persons to interact and have a little fun with the scenery. Probably one of the most notable things in this particular part of the plot is this little area here. If I can get over here. This little kind of a play on perspective. It's to make it look like it's an alleyway that kind of extends out into the distance. It's really relatively flat. If you come up inside it, you can see that there's really no way to get up in there. But I love the perspective of it. It just gives a little bit more dimension to this area, and that's a very hard thing to pull off well. I mean, you can see they use a piece of glass to make it so that you can't go in to, you know, affect the perspective, but you can see how they've angled the walls and shrunk things down just to kind of keep it so that it looks like there's an alleyway going into the distance. So it's a fun little trick. Here they've actually made a little sundae vendor, ice cream vendor. So they have like the little stools, the bar stools being used as like the cherry toppings. Got a leafy stalk as the stem of the cherry. And then they've made specific little desserts, like here's the banana split. Looks like they're using, I don't know what they're using for the chocolate sprinkles there. It looks like the upside down barnacle weeds. But lots of bananas, big dollops of ice cream, which is probably the snowy clumps. Same way here, using pillows, mushrooms for the toppings, and always with that little cherry on top. Here's a little, like a cake, frozen cake dessert. This one's got coins on top. That's kind of funny looking. Notice this one has leaves. I believe the leaves are the lily leaf plant, kind of like a long stalk with a little bit of greenery on there. This one's topped with berries. So it's a cute way of making a little dessert stand. Over here we have the meat vendor. I like the little hatchets or whatever that they use just kind of stacked up there. A book vendor. Looks like a chew of parts vendor here. Let's see. Apple carts. I don't think they really did anything to those. This one, of course, gave us excuse to use our taco decor for the taco vendor here. Excuse me. And I like how they've added in these little stones and bits. I assume those are probably the bottoms of the, what's it called? The makeshift bulletin board. And just sunk down to just parts of the stones, but it could be individual rocks that have been placed into these little clumps. But myself, I probably would have used the upside down makeshift. It would have been fewer pieces, if nothing else. So that's the little marketplace of this area, and if you look over here, this is the entrance. It's just using the mine, I think it's the mine entrance sign, decorating with little bits to kind of frill it up. The pathway is basically exile floors, I think, and then you just walk up the tunnel and you come up on kind of like the foyer to the, I don't know what you call it. It's not, I don't know, is it an amphitheater? It's like an open door open theater thingy. I don't know how to describe it. But this is like the little lounge area before you go out. You grab your drinks, pick up, a pamphlet or something, and then you move off to the actual thing. But we're going to go off into here. This is where you pick up they even made a little pen for those that want to send some messages at the mailbox. Notice they actually put a little opening. It's basically just the cellar entrance, and then they've used various, it's a real simplified way of making little letters. They just use oren floors. Now I think we saw one at Winterfest last year where someone had actually made the actual little envelopes with the little triangle piece and making it look like a folded end. But this is a more simplified way of doing that. But the pen itself looks to be an icicle with merg dynamite, just to kind of dress it up a little bit. I don't remember what's down here. We'll just go down the tunnel. I want to say this is where the contestants would get dressed. I can't remember. Oh no, this might be a theater thing. Yeah, I think this is the backstage area where people would get prepared. We'll go back to that in a minute. Let's just go in here. Yeah, this is the dressing room where they come, and because like I said, it was supposed to be a fashion show, so they were expecting contestants to come, need a few minutes to prepare, to switch their costumes, especially if they had entered several different categories. They would have a chance to come back here, change their outfit, and then get ready to go out on the catwalk. So they've set up this little dressing room area where they can come, presumably don their clothing, put on their makeup and stuff. And also just to relax until it was their turn. So they have some little seating areas and a nice view of the outside with a little garden area. I like the little pond here. It's basically just some waterfalls with a little bit of stones, just the gray stones, a small little pool. Notice they even got a little place where the water actually comes out. It's just a cylinder, a hollow tube to act like the little spout for the water. I do believe, yeah, you come up on the edge of the plot here so you can see how it looks from the outside. Notice the decoration on the glass. Again, that's just layered framed glass to make these little designs. I mean, we've seen people make like roses and butterflies and just straight up geometric designs. And this is another one. It's kind of like, I don't know, it reminds me of like little pillars of diamonds kind of thing. Notice the handle on the door is just these curved tubes. It's a rather big door, so I guess it's suitable to any of the like Granok and stuff, but pretty huge. We'll check out this area. This is the start of the catwalk. This is where those that have gotten themselves dressed into their garb can start lining up. Someone would be back here presumably to kind of keep things organized and say, okay, you're next, you're next, you're next. And then there would be the announcer outside giving them their cue. Basically, it's just, I think it's Exile floors mostly. I want to say this is hover park pieces for this walkway, but it's hard to tell. And of course there's like remnants of like maybe they also perform plays or something here, and this is just happens to be currently set up for a fashion show, costume contest kind of thing. So we're going to go at this from the other side so you get a view from the top first. So again, like I said, this was originally built to host a community event that later got canceled, but that doesn't mean that, you know, I know from experience from my own guild, uh, when our role-playing stuff was pretty active, um, we would often scope out plots that we thought we could utilize in the role-playing events. We've used like various bar plots. There was Ray's Mountain Spa, a couple of others that had specific sceneries or settings that seemed to fit a current line of role play that they were acting out. So this is one of those kind of plots that would be ideal for that. If you want, you know, even if it's just, you know, you and a friend want to role play that you're going to the theater or something, this is a good place to do. But I like these little overhangs here, these awnings. It's just basically curved walls, and they've been set it so that it looks like a little awning type of thing. But this is the real prize here, is the open theater. Let me get a good. So you can see it's open. It's well lit because there's a gigantic lighting structure above it. The stage is all set up. It's basically one of those hovering platforms, and then they've added all types of spotlights and things to kind of help dress it up. The stadium itself is mostly comprised of hover park pieces. In fact, this whole main structure is just one giant, I think it's the bowl hover park piece. It's I don't know if it's one or two pieces together to make the bowl, but it's basically that. And then they've added in the staircases and such to make it easier to traverse through it. But you can see the stands themselves are basically just lots of cushions, plenty of seating for those that want to come and spectate. You have the judges table over here, the announcers stand over here, and then of course where we were earlier, the catwalk comes straight out from the lineup in the back, straight through the curtain and onto the stage itself. Huge speakers for, you know, keeping things loud and heard. You can see that the walkway here is lit up with lamps. It's just the cage lights kind of sunk down. The stage itself is a dome, I believe. The spotlights are encased in these little domes and have the two spotlights shooting out. And then they've used different colored, you know, you have the blue, the green, and the red colored glass, the unframed versions. And they've used, it looks like all three, to kind of jazz up the stage here. It almost looks like the spotlights themselves are shooting off that coloring. Excuse me. They also, I believe, added spotlights to these as well. Yeah, you can see it's the hanging spotlights, the red ones. The little lighting fixtures here are actually part of the landing pad, and then they've just inserted these inside it to really brighten it up. And of course, using these Exile spotlights just to add a little pizzazz, because these are actually animated, so that helps. The stage itself for the commentator is basically just cylinders stacked up. And again, another spotlight to showcase them. And then, of course, you got the judges' tables over here. They even have a little pot of coffee, tea, something to keep them alert while they're judging. It's basically a vintage beer mug with a tall file upside down on it with a glass top. Now, maybe it's something else, meant to be something else, but that's what it looks like to me. It looks like their water jug, so that they have a drink. But here's the view from back here. But I thought it was a very fun idea. It's unfortunate that the event itself never took place. Maybe they did it just internally for their guild or something, but as far as a public event went, it kind of fizzled out, just mostly because lack of participation, which is unfortunate, but that's how it goes sometimes. You can see the railing here. That's just the Smurf Dynamite again. And the 2x4s. But a really fun idea. Just kind of built into the rock here, like carved out this little bowl of a stadium and made it something fun. So that's the Cupcakeium Calamity Hex plot. So the next one on our list today is Zinrel Sobark's plot. This one I've had on my list for a while, and I kind of got poked again about it by Lay, actually. She's been doing really nice about giving me a little heads up about certain plots, and she mentioned this one. I thought, you know, I've had that on my list for a while. I'll go ahead and bump it up to today. So this one is called Sobark Bathhouse. And you'll see why it gets its moniker. But for now, we're going to kind of just tour the outside. Mostly it's just boardwalk pieces for the pathway here. Lots of trees, pine trees, to kind of line the exterior edge of the plot. Lots of ginkgo trees to fill in the gap, and then large tufts of grass to kind of box in the interior of the building. It's just more kind of like framing it up. They didn't want to leave it empty, so you just see nothing but blue sky. They just kind of wanted to box it in a little bit. So it's one way of doing it. Others feel like they really need to kind of go all crazy with the landscaping, but you'll see why more of the attention was paid on the interior than exterior here shortly. But it's one way to do it. You can see most of the structure is Draken materials, arches, floors, that kind of thing. There's a little bit of Exile stuff, and then lots and lots of glass. At first glance, I thought it was like a greenhouse kind of thing, but of course the name says bathhouse, so obviously that wasn't it. But that's what it reminds me of. It can easily become a huge, what do you call it, aviary for birds, or a greenhouse for plants, that kind of thing. But you get the real feel of just how huge the structure is once you come inside, just how high the ceilings are. It's very mirrored as well. You'll see that they've basically just got the hot springs fab kits, 2 on each side, and then the I think it's called the Hugel hinge, 2 of those, 1 on each side, just to kind of make it very uniform. But I like how they've got the rocks spread about to kind of, there's a path, but it's kind of like a little bit overgrown. But you have all of these little hot springy fab kits. I don't think they added anything specific to any of these, but it's suitable to the theme that they were going for. Again, you can see how they've used the arches to kind of give a little extra decoration, bringing it down to an entrance size. The stairs, I believe, are just, it looks like just lots and lots of 2x4s. This whole structure here. Kind of hard to imagine that many. It could be something else, but that's what it looks like. It actually is probably the top of, I don't know what that is, the top of, maybe it's pillars. It's really hard to see in this. I don't know what type of pillar that would be. It's a really dark wood, and they've used the same thing for the interior here. So it's like a step up and step down, and this is what leads you to the bunker house. Basically, it's covered with, or partially covered with the cellar entrance. Notice this lovely little gazebo type of thing that this is built inside. It's basically just a dome with lots of arches, nicely spaced out, and then glass panels filled in. It's a really nice way of doing that. You see others where it's pillar supports, different types of columns. I've seen people use fencing and things, but the arches aren't used as often in this way. Obviously, they have to, kind of fudge it in because we don't really have like curved arches like this, but it's a good way of doing it. Just something different. So off into the bunker house we go. And right off the bat, you get the sense that you're kind of in a humid type of area. It's a little misty looking, the lighting that's been chosen. I don't know if it's one of the smoky ones, hazy or something, but you can see we're straight into this little area. And this is their rudimentary way of saying this is the girls' side and this is the fellas' side. So it's if you're looking for ways to indicate like bathrooms, changing rooms, maybe it's a dormitory for a college or something that you've built and you want to show that this is one way to do it. Some of us have come up with more elaborate ways. I've seen some use like the actual symbols, with the little circle with the arrow and the other one with the little plus sign or whatever. Some actually make little creatures. Some use just the letters. But this is a very simple way to do it. You got the floors turned slightly to make a diamond. That's for the head. And then just a rectangle for the male shape. And then a larger triangle piece for the skirt for the girls. So this is the girls' side. Notice the little dome parts here. You got your towel racks, little changing space. I don't know if these are meant to be like access to water. Maybe there's supposed to be lighting in here. I'm not sure. So of course over on this side you have the guys. This is where they come and do their thing. And then you come into a little bit of a lounge area where you can sit, enjoy a little bit of greenery. I love these little flower boxes. It's just a couple of arches that have been set in together, trimmed with 2x4s, and then lots of nice pretty plants, including grass even. I think that's an underused item really, is the grass, especially in a setting like this. Even I don't use it very much. Usually I just go for bushes and stuff, but the grass patches actually adds a lot of nice long, green leaves that you might not normally get with just the pretty flowers arrangement. So that's a nice little touch. I like that. Mirrored again over here. And then on either side you have these little waterfall displays like rock waterfalls. They're using the frozen lakes as the water in the bottom, and then just Hugel statues and swirly rocks for some of the design, and again using the grasses. Yes, there are some bits sticking out, but we can overlook that because I like the idea behind it. Probably the best way to solve something like this with the bits hanging out is I would just replicate the dome, gradually making it bigger and bigger, and that will thicken it up and hide that bit of grass that you don't want showing. That's how I would fix it. You can see that they've replicated it over here. They have some, kind of uniform. And then inside, underneath this the access to the upper floor, they decided not to just leave this space empty. They've actually made it as like little lounge areas. This is where you'd come and relax. Maybe get a tan. This might be the tanning beds where they come lay down and you get the sun rays off of the lamps there. It's just mattresses, but again, I like the theme, the approach the idea behind it. So over here, they've got two stones. I don't know what the two stones mean, as opposed to the well, that's two stones as well. So let's just go have a look. Okay, here's, I guess this is like the sauna type thing where you would come and sweat it out. I don't know what this, I guess it's it looks like part of the Chua cup to me. And then they've just got a campfire or something underneath. I don't have the sound on, so I'm not sure if it's making the crackly noise, but I assume it is. I love this little setup though. It's got some like stairs and benches and everything. It's basically just lots of 2x4s. They've added a little decoration with the technophage stuff and a little bit of greenery. It's very uh, minimalistic. I'd almost say this would be a good like thing for like a Japanese theme. They like to keep theirs, or from what I can picture, kind of like just very basic. There's no clutter. It's very clean, straight lined, organized, and to the point. And this is what that feels like to me. Maybe minus this. I think the pink kind of throws me off a little bit. But I love these little 2x4 stairs and things, the benches. This is very nice looking. I imagine the other side is the same. Maybe one side is meant for the guys and the other side's meant for the girls. I don't know. Yeah, it's basically just a mirror. Kind of a little segregated community thing going on here. So once you get your stuff sweated out in the lower levels, then you come up to the upper levels. Here we have another little fountain kind of deal. Again, I would probably double up or triple up on the dome itself to kind of hide some of the grass I don't want showing. But notice they added a little bit of steam coming off. I presume that is one of the blue flares. The only reason I say that is because of the way it's moving. I think most of the new smoke decor and stuff tends to be pretty straightforward in the direction that they flow. But the blue flare always had some kind of weird animation to it. So I could be wrong though. It might be something else. So it looks like it's like just twirling around. It's weird. For the railing, it's just colored unframed glass with the Cassian pillars. They chose red, it looks like, maybe to kind of go with the red trim that's around here. So through here, I think it's just, yeah, this is like their another little lounge area. You come after you sweat it out, you change into some clean clothes, come here and relax. Again, giant mattress, lots of pillows. Again, the stairs are just 2x4s. That's one side. If you go down the other way, come into some individual rooms. This is where you would come to get like special massages, have a little heated jacuzzi dip. I love how they've thickened this one up. Rather than going with multiple domes, they've just put in a single dome for the bowl and then added around it those curved tubes. Notice this part here. It works well because even though it's actually part of this just sticking in, it actually works as if it's like a bench for someone to sit on. Just got hover park piece with the water pouring out. Again, with that smoky bit. Maybe that's one of those fires or something. I don't know what that is. I see some embers, so it's got to be something fiery. The massage tables themselves, those are just mattresses on top of the picnic tables, and then smaller mattresses to behave as the pillows. And again, just individual rooms. I imagine it's the same for all of these. But again, it's one of those plots that, yeah, it's got a specific theme, and it might not be useful for everybody's day-to-day stuff, but it's one of those plots that it would be fun to say, hey guys, let's meet up at such and such as plot, and we'll have a spa day. This is a good example of one of those. Yes, maybe there's things that they could add to it, or change, or fix up a little bit. But I like, uh, I mean, keep in mind, most of this was probably built before a lot of the things that we have now, like a lot of the smokes. You have to kind of keep in mind people were kind of limited with certain things. So I like looking at these plots, even though they seem a little bit older, not recently made kind of thing. It's fun to look back at what folks were capable of putting together even before we got access to a lot of newer stuff. Like the mattresses, I'm sure if we had had access to the beach towels and stuff much sooner, they might have chosen some of those more colorful prints than going with the mattresses. So that was Zinrel Solbark's plot, the bathhouse. So on to the next. This is Rekka Grayseed's plot. Let me see if I can get this name right. The name of the plot is called Prostigospodi Park, I think. I have no idea what kind of word that is. It might mean something really naughty. I have no idea. But this is like a little carnival park place type of thing, and I thought it was fitting to visit this one today since we have a sneak peek of some of these arcadish type decor that's going to be coming soon. We had the games CBDC not too long ago where people were trying to come up with things that you could very well find in not just a game room of a house, but also a theme park, uh, someplace where you would have games like um, uh, the air hockey tables and things like that. And this could be, used in similar ways. They have game booths here and everything. But this is a fun little idea. We've seen a few in the past, but it's always fun to come and check out how someone else interprets certain things. So this is the entrance to the park. It's got one of those, if you're wondering about that little sparkly blue stuff, that's the buoyant blue crystal. They've just pushed it down so that the crystal's hidden, but the animation and lighting, that smoke and stuff that goes with it, it's broad enough that it shows even with the item being hidden. So it gives a nice little magical effect to it. You're using one of the signs. It's like the board that tells what's all at the park. And of course, I like the little window here being kind of like a glowy pool for these little statues here, the Hugel statues. Notice they're using the bushes to kind of trim it all in, keep the entrance a little bit apart. And it helps kind of give some elevation to the grounds, even though there really isn't like any hills and such. But just kind of, because I mean, there's like empty patches. My mouse is kind of going wonky again. But lots of bushes just to kind of fill that up. It keeps it from looking too plain on the outer parts of the park. I don't know what sky they're using. I want to say it's like the Northern Lights one, but I'm not sure if that's really it. This is a good example of how our wind is still kind of borked up. You can see how the balloons practically almost go horizontal at times because the wind is so strong. They used to not do that, and there are other items that are affected by wind that can have the same kind of weirdness. Some have even had it happen in the inside, the instance interior. So just something to keep in mind. We used to use the balloons for quite a bit of our red accents when we needed something red and we didn't want to use the stools. That unfortunately isn't as viable anymore because of how they behave with the wind. That's unfortunate, but thankfully we now have like the dynamite fireworks to get a hold of for those of us that unlock the Starfall decor. So first up is our, I don't know what you call it, the shooting range booth. I like how they've just added in these little uh, decorations, just like a Hugel shooting target range or something. The booth itself is just exile floors and a little bit of a Draken floor and a hover part piece for the countertop here. They're using the dartboards turned around the other way as the, I think you'll see like the little part where the swords are actually sticking out. They're facing the other way, using it as the dartboard thing, and then they've got their guns here and using one of the NPCs as if he's actually aiming his gun there. But you can see they got their little prize shelves and just lots of garbage here. The carnies are not very clean. Yeah, the balloon does work good for a fishing line. I think we saw it, someone used it in a wishing well type of thing and made it look like something was alive pulling on the rope. It's just overgrowth here, lots of candles, orange windows for some of the decoration, and of course the red shop canopy thing, awning, whatever you call it. A good use of those Winterfest string lights that a lot of us managed to collect. This is before we had access to the LOP string lights that a lot of people have been wanting to have those nice paper lanterns. This was a handy alternative to making party lights without just using the usual string lights that we had for such a long time. The Winterfest ones, at least you can see that you don't have to keep them for just strictly your winter plots. So they're using a bunch of those. I think it's the, I can't even remember which one. They had like 5 or 6 different versions, but this is the one that looks like a little spaceship with the Protostar guy's head on it. And it kind of glows a little bit. So they use that as this little gathering place. This booth here is, what is that? Looks like the test your strength, where you, yeah, here's the mallet. They've used a hammer with one of the beer cans on it to make the mallet, and you hit the button here and it shoots it up, and if you light it up the top, then you're like super strong and you win a prize. So it's a test your strength booth. It looks like a detonator for the base, another one of the dartboards, and then another detonator using that little blinky light up at the top, just for that little setup there. The star beer signs for most of the neon here, I think, showing the little indicators. A cute little idea. Let's see, over here across the way we have our first little ride. Again, they're using that little sparkly bits from the Buoyant Blue Crystal for those effects there. I like the little star design that they put around this one. This part here is either a cylinder or a dome, and then they've used the floors to make this little design. I don't know what this is called. Not exactly a merry-go-round, but it's the one with the seats, and that as it goes faster and faster, the seats kind of angle out with the centrifugal force and people ride around in it. This kind of ride usually makes me sicker than a dog, but I like the seats themselves. Very simple. Just 2 hanging chains, and then notice they didn't even join the bottom with the top. They're implying that it's connected by the chain itself. So you have the staircase landing for the seat, and then metal edge 2x4s for the back and the arm rests. Very simple, but clearly you know what it is. As far as the movement here, that's one of those, I think it's called the dreg windmill. You've got the orange orin window for the topper here. It's kind of hard to get a good view of that. And then the bug windows, I believe those come from a Reputation vendor. I think you might can also craft them as well, but I'm pretty sure they can be bought from a vendor too. And it looks like a nautical wheel being used in there as well, so that you have these little nubbins to attach the swings to. Very clever design. For anyone that's thinking about maybe making a winter carnival or something, this is a good place to come and get some ideas. Notice the path. This is just decking pieces being used for that. Off to this side, we have, I think it's just a little lounge area. This is where you can come and grab a snack, sit on a bench, enjoy your meal. They've also incorporated, I think this is the dating spot fab kit, if I'm not mistaken. Notice they've got it boxed in with this kind of, not an awning, but like a strange little cover. It's one you would like imagine in like a rose garden kind of thing where the roses are growing up over the trellis part. It's just Draken pillars used to kind of cover it up. They've attached the speakers here, and just to kind of keep it all snug into this little area here. Again, they've got a lot of use of the bushes and stuff to kind of keep it corralled. The little eatery place here is, it looks to be a dome or cylinder, and then they've topped it with an upside down snowy hill to give it some more grass, like what's down here. Hover part pieces for the countertop, decorated with various orange windows for color. Lots of bowls of fruit. It's a really quick way of, you know, getting some food in there. And then, of course, the little seating areas are just different types of stones to make these little platforms. Keeps it very natural, almost as if maybe the stones were already there and they've just incorporated this into it, built it atop it. Let's see, do I get to that from this side or the other side? I think we go up this rock here, maybe, I don't know. So this is where we saw the lights. This is, again, kind of like a little socializing place. Maybe this is where you get some your fortune told, or buy some souvenirs from the park. This one looks like he's selling some kind of gooey drinks. He's got his little ooze, the Protostar ooze, and his glasses, and he's ready to give you, maybe it's some kind of slushy or something. Here, again, it's tacos. He's got his big chunk of cheese. And then here we have another little gazebo type of thing. Again, it's a dome, cylinders, pillars, decking railing for the little trim here. Yeah, this appears to be a little souvenir shop, so you can get yourself maybe some costume pieces, you know, get the little hats and bow ties, backpacks. Here's a little mirror that they made so that you can come and look how you see how you look in it. It's just a granite piece with hover part pieces around for the trim. And little gift boxes for your purchases. It's the proto ooze. That's what it looks like. A little loppy wares there. Notice the different stones. You know, they don't keep it too uniform. They use a variety of the gray sandstone. There's even the Starcon Basin stepping stones. I see swirly rocks. It keeps it enough variety that it doesn't look too monotonous. Again, it's probably using, yeah, you can see the white puffs. It's another um, uh, upside down snowy hill. You have the base ground here. Notice they didn't really lift it up too much. They didn't want to, you know, make it too much of a rise in elevation, but there's just enough to give it a little bit of difference. Very cute. We'll save the interior of the main house for last, I think. Over here we have the carousel. Reminds me of the one I made for the Valentine's plot. Again, decking pieces. It's hover part pieces for the top. It's the edge piece. It kind of comes to a point, and you have to put 4 of them together to make the whole round. And then the other ones to make the donut to finish off the edge. And then decorated it with various Orin windows and topped it with a heart collection lamp to make it nice and colorful, and it helps light it up. Hey Zodi, good morning. This is Rekka Grayseed's plot, the Prestigo Spody Park. I can't say that right. Notice they're using the Winterfest fencing. It's got a nice little kind of carnival-y look because of the way it's shaped. You know, sometimes you might have only collected a handful of them, and this is one way to kind of insert them. Again, they're using those domes and the diamond, the star pattern there. It matches what they used on the previous ride. The poles themselves for the little bits, I honestly don't know what those are. It looks like something that's been severely oversized, but I really have no idea what that is. But it's a really good use of them. There's other things you could probably, I think I used pillars for mine. There's the, I think a big favorite is the sparking wires. Those are good. But this one actually starts off really thick on this end and then goes down to a point. Maybe it's a lamp post that I'm not familiar with. It could be any number of things, but I don't know what it is. So if any of you guys have a good guess, it's I don't know. It could be a Winterfest or Shades Eve item that, you know, a lot of those items I don't use because I didn't collect as many as I would have liked. But again, they're using the dreg wind mill thing for that little, that, you know, kind of plays along with the idea that these actually rotate. And of course the plushies as the little rides themselves, alternating between the WildStar and I'm not really sure what those things are called. They look like beetles. Oh, I know. Oops, ran into the wall there. Over here we have a nice little Protostar stand for their little collectibles. They've got posters, little action figures, which is basically shrunken down NPCs, I believe, and then of course their plushies. Very full-on Protostar. They're using the housing vendor guy that you can get. That was very super rare. This is the Protostar platform, the Protostar little hovering vendor thing. Notice it moves, the NPC doesn't. That's the only bothersome thing for me for that particular piece. Is it's very hard to set something in there without it looking a little odd, because whatever you put in it. It's not like you could put a lot of things on the shelf because the things on the shelf would sit there, but the shelf would move around. So not quite user-friendly on that part, but very protostar. There's no mistake in that. Then we come off to this one here. Again, lots of the Hoogles, keeping with it, it's very Oran-y, kind of a themed park. Lots of Oran windows, lots of greenery, and lots of Hoogles. Notice the little arrow sign. It's basically the beer signs. Just using the edges to line out this nice little arrow. They were smart enough to cover it up on the back, so most of it is not showing through, which is good. The building itself looks to be mostly exile walls, tubes, a little bit of decking pieces, pillars, that kind of thing. Again, keeping with that theme with a lot of overgrowth and the Oran windows and such, it helps a lot. So this is the arcade stand, shop, building, whatever. Again, with those new arcade pieces coming soon, I figure this will be good for this. Now I say arcade, it could be maybe this is, is intended to be something else, but I think this is arcade. So you have the little stand here where you can pay for your time, get change, cash in your tickets or whatever for goodies. Maybe you want to get a nice poster, that kind of thing. That's kind of what this looks like. They got it lit up. Again, that's one of those neon signs, the beer signs. The little shelf itself is just made out of 2x4s. And then it's just a fun way of, again, having the opportunity to display all of the Tales posters that you've collected without being too out of place. Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking forward to. I think it takes a lot of us back. I mean, not to give anyone's ages away, but I think a lot of us are familiar with the 80s stuff, like all of the video games and things that were out at that time. And I think it's going to be very nostalgic for a lot of folks. So here's the crane game. Basically, you've got the Chuatech loading arm thing, a couple of levers, different directions so that you can control the crane and try and win your little goodie. I don't know exactly how you would obtain your goodie. There's no like built-in little box or chute that it comes out that I can tell, but still kind of nifty. I don't know what they're using for the base of this. This looks like something oversized, so I suspect maybe a detonator or something being used for that. That's some really strangely curved edges here and texture. It just looks very enlarged, but I have no idea what it actually is. These little arcade games are basically the tall Chua bookshelf with being on either side. It's like oh, it's one of those turrets. It's the pink one. I think there's some green ones as well. Those are being used for the pink part. This is the control panel. They've just sunk it down so you don't see the box part. And then the tactical table, the Exile version for the screen. Maybe those are slot machines for all I know. They've got their little dance revolution game going on here. Again, these are the neon signs. It's the octopus one. They've just sunk it down just enough so you just see the triangle part, and works really well. The maintenance platforms do well in hiding what they don't want showing. Excuse me. Yeah, the colors. I'm curious as to how animated the new items are. I mean, in the screenshot, you really can't tell. So you know, if it's too flashy and stuff, like the colored screens. A lot of people complained at the beginning because the animation was too fast, too annoying, made some people sick. Um, I'd be interested to see how that actually looks. It's like the wallpaper. It looks super gaudy to me, and I don't think I would ever actually use it. But if it's stationary, it's not actually moving or anything, we might find some fun ways to use pieces of it. You know, have it and then like cover up most of it except for just the bit you want. I can imagine people using it as a way to make a big screen TV for like an indoor theater kind of thing. Have that as, you know, frame a part of it as, you know, the image on the television or whatever. That's what I have in my head. But again, I'd have to see how those parts look. It's like maybe the arcades make noise. If that's true, then they might not be usable in a lot of situations that you wouldn't want the noise. Um, Maybe they, you know, wiggle or something. Just stuff like that that I kind of reserve my judgment until we actually see the items. If you're wondering about the blinky lights here, again, those are the detonators. They're kind of using it as like adding some little disco-y stuff to it. Okay, so that's the arcade booth. Up over here to, I guess this would be the slip and slide, where you, like the water ride kind of thing. So they've got it up, set up kind of like a mini um, pool area. You've got the lounge chairs, which are basically just decking pieces, 3 of them laid out just so. And then they've got another decking piece behaving as like the little lift for the back. Insetted tree table. Most of the structure itself is hover part pieces. They got good use of those the hill pieces. I think they're the ones that kind of make that little swirly, bumpily bit of the hover part pieces for the different, I don't know what you call them, not trays, but tracks or whatever. Lots of use of the winding rivers and waterfalls to get all of that water action going. And then, of course, the pool looks like lined with curved Oran walls to get that nice rounded edge. And then just the bottom of it was probably Oran walls as well to kind of keep it nice and blue. I like the little floaty here for the carrot. It's just several of those purple, the long rolls pillows made into a little donut. Again, you can tell if they probably had access to the summer decor pack. I'm sure they would add some beach balls and some of the beach towels to something like this. But for those of us that didn't have access to it or haven't actually purchased it, these are some good alternatives. It's like just a little floaty mattress, and it's just a mattress with a rolled sleeping bag on top. Using an oversized sporty sphere for the beach ball, that kind of thing. Again, just those little inserts of the Oran windows and such. Lots of hoogles. Got it nicely boxed in with all of those bulby trees. Really cute effect. That brings us to the little train. You know, there's always a little train that toots around, takes you to the different rides, especially if it's a really large park. You start on one end and it takes you all the way to the other end. Maybe it's just a way to see the entire park at the leisureness of not having to walk it. You just get it ride. Maybe it follows this track. Maybe it's just on the grass. I don't know. But I love the little train. Basically, it's 2 spotlights for the headlights, A couple of Orin windows to make that nice, colorful, whimsical kind of look to it. Domes, cylinders, that blue flare for the smoke, and of course the tires. Very rounded, and I don't know, you almost can imagine it having like the little tutu that could with the smiley face and the eyes and stuff. It just has that cuteness about it. The floor of each of the cars is Orin floors, and each one has the nautical sofa boxed in with some of the white picket fences. Now this is not the ones from the spring decor pack. These are the ones that you can craft. The way you tell is because of how it's like all kind of mismatched pieces, not exactly straight. The ones from the spring decor pack are perfect, and they've kind of got little spikes on the end. And of course the tops are curved Orin walls. Added some lighting as well. These are also craftable, the string lights. They could have very well used more of um, the Winterfest string lights. Um, that's very okay, but they happen to use the red ones here. Again, got those wildly blowing balloons there. But then you can see that they've repeated the car, the general car, for each one. It's a really cute little thing. I mean, they could have had, double seating if they wanted. But this kind of looks a little more cozy, a little bit more personal. You come in with a friend and you guys share it. This one's got a little giggle me gaffo on there. Really little cute thing. Here we have the little rainbow leading us to a small little campground. Notice they've got those the snowy hill kind of disguising this as part of like a hill, just to kind of help box it off. Instead of just using the trees and such to do that, they box it off. We kind of saw that with Katya's golf course, which I still haven't heard back from her. I apologize for that. I did intend to open that park up last week, but I still haven't heard back from her, so I may have to reach out to her again, see if I can get her attention, because I know last week they were pretty busy with showing off the new interactive scripted plot, RP plot, so that might have been part of it. But I'll try and get in touch with her so we can hopefully get that going as well. The fire bit, I believe they're using, if you remember the water trough, it has like those two pieces of wood on the bottom. I think what they're using is that item upside down and just twirled several times to make this little pile of wood, sort of, and then a stone in the middle to kind of make it look like it's, and then some of that new fire decor and smoke stuff to make this lovely little fire. Of course, the Pell tents and sleeping bags for the little camp site itself. Yeah, I'm not too fond of that rainbow. I don't think I've used mine except at the Easter plot. I think I have one there leading to the pot of gold kind of thing. Of course, this thing here is actually the Ferris wheel fab kit, but I do believe they've added their own touches, including these oversized Orin pillars to decorate it up. Again, it's matching with the overall theme, very Orin-y inspired with all the Hoogles added as well. I believe this is actually added too, this little booth for the person that controls the whole contraption, and where you would get your tickets and then you would board it. This basically, I think it's Exile version, one of those bunker houses. And then I want to say the sign is added too, but I'm not sure. I don't use the fab kits too much, so I would appreciate that, Zodi. Because, like I said, when I tried the add-on, it just kind of messed up. Just tell her to. I believe I messaged her on the forums. Um, Either that or I mailed her. I might have directly mailed her, emailed her. So tell her to check her messages because she hasn't gotten back to me, and I can't do any. I can't open it up and actually allow people to play until I'm positive that the add-on is working as intended. So here's a good example of how one could tack on an extra bit to a prefab home. This is actually, I think it's the spacious, um, the spacious Oren house. It could be the smaller one, but I think it's the spacious one. I think it has the downstairs. They basically just used decking pieces to make this, well, like a patio deck kind of thing. They've trimmed it with a little bit of granite pillars, added some glass panels here and there, oddball lighting to kind of dress it up a little bit. And I don't know who's honking, but it looks like a place where you can come and buy uh, some plushy collectibles. So you have your vendor here, and then his little wares on display over here. But this could easily, you know, if you don't have a carnival setting, this could easily be a place where you could set up your barbecue grill, have some lounge chairs. Maybe you're into gardening and you have a little greenhouse type of thing going on here with all of your little plant trays and such like that. Maybe it's a reading nook. Um, Maybe it's insert a little pool area here and you have a little jacuzzi set, you know, in this little framed in area. Very, very easy to adapt to whatever kind of need you want. I just like little things like this because a lot of people don't think about adding on attachments to their existing houses. Um, you know, so many of us are kind of into the fully custom built um, uh, that we just build it all. We forget that you can still kind of use the prefab and just make it look different than the prefab by, you know, tacking on these kind of additions. You don't have to, you know, completely cover up the entire thing, but this is one way to kind of dress it up a little bit differently. I think that's all of the exterior, if I am not mistaken. I see something going on up here though I think we missed. So let me check out. Might have to get to that. Oops. Over here. On this giant root thingy. There we go. I certainly don't want to miss anything if I can avoid it. Here's a good shot of the park itself. You can see all of the different rides and booths. Again, you know, there's a lot of planning that goes into these builds as far as, you know, how they're going to set it up. They want everything in a linear kind of fashion. You want to keep everything where it doesn't matter where you go, you still have access to everything else. So here's an elevated, it looks like a bar and lounge. Up here's the bar. Again, lots of decking pieces. It almost looks similar in design to the little decking down below next to the house. And they've just modified it slightly to make it a little section up here. So you have the bar tables, lots of pillars for this little, I love this little design here. They put together with the crossing of the string lights. You could have very well just kept it kind of looped around the edge, but they actually cross it. It's a nice way of doing that. Again, keeping with the Oren windows as accents. A little speaker so that they can hear okay. Maybe there's an event going on downstairs, down below that they want to catch. And And then, of course, lots of pillows for this little lounge area. Very cute. Oran landing pad for this part, decking pieces, oran fencing for the trimming here, decking railing for that one. It's a good way of using this little, I don't know, mossy root thing as well. We see it in a lot of orany, jungle-y type builds, but this is a fun way of using it in this particular type of theme. Again, a lot of people have the problem of deciding, should I leave the clutter of a plot visible or not visible. The clutter tends to be on the tall side, especially for us players that play characters that are on the short side. But again, removing the clutter allows you the freedom of really outlining specific areas of your plot that you want to look like it's worn, that's where you need to go. That's someplace that's important, as opposed to an overgrown area like this. So leaving the clutter out, it very clearly defines the zones of where you need to be walking and that kind of thing. And I like that. Like I said, I think the grasses are much underused, but on those particular plots, when folks use that as a way to define, okay, this is an open area, this is where somebody actually mowed and trimmed, so it's important, as opposed to this part here. It's a good example of how you can use that. Now, the last piece that we need to see is the actual interior of the prefab home, which is the Oran version. As you can see, they've turned it into what I presume to be the haunted house. You see lots of eggs, those old nasty spider eggs, eyeballs, the skull face, very creepy looking, lots of cobwebs and things like that. So let's see how they transform this lovely Oran abode into a nightmarish little place. So you can see straight away they've done a really good job. I don't know what the lighting is, but it's perfect for this. It makes the lighting, when you add some kind of lighting feature, it really helps bring attention to it. Yes, it's on the dark side, but that's the theme of this. So here you have strange little creepy, gross. It's almost like it's supposed to be an abandoned mine. So you see like dynamite bits, caution signs, and then of course the track for the mine cart. The track itself is made with metal planks and 2x4s. Is it Hellfire? It could be. I don't know. The lighting. Notice the little lantern here. That doesn't actually come with the chain attached. They set that up purposely. There's a few strain elements. Of course, lots of caution signs. Added some creepy notes to the thinker heads. It usually just has ruby eyes, and they've added those ice splotches to give it a creepier look. The little gar corpse thing. Lots of those creepy eggs, lots of strain, even some crystals. I mean, they've just made it really look nasty in here. They got that, I want to say it's called the maw, disgusting maw, on the roof. So if you're not careful, it'll suck you up and have a munch. There's that Morrow tubes that we used to make Tangela yesterday, I think it was. Good place for those Shades Eve gourds. And notice here they have one of the mannequins dressed up in the zombie stuff. So you have the creepy skull mask, the bandages and things. So yeah, he's pretty nastied up. And of course the given, the WildStar house shoes. That's just funny. But yeah, this is a fun way of again using that Shades Eve decor year round. They also was able to use some of the Winterfest decor year round. It doesn't have to be restricted to just those times of years and using those things. So that's fun. I like that. This is that, I think it's the torch briar tree. It has those puffs of flames coming out. A lot of it's either falcon or draken fencing. Here we have a caged mannequin. Looks like a voodoo guy with his skull hat and augmented body. Again, draken fencing for a lot of this built up walls and stuff that you saw from the entrance. Just looking to see if I see anything. Don't want to miss it. So we continue on down. Now that's the main room. Now we're going down into that hallway that folks usually, and it just gets a little bit more sinister. It's a little more purple in here. Lots of, I see those grasping weeds from like the, the graveyard fab kit, the cave shrooms, lots of chains, the bubbling eyeball canisters, candles. There's one of those effigies from Shades Eve. These things here, that's those creepy leaning trees. These are some of those spore trees. That's again not currently available, I don't think. It gives off a nice effect. They're using the lighting really good too. It's a lot of underlighting and backlighting to give that creepy look. Yeah, it's a good contrast from what's upstairs. Outside, it's very, there's some gaiety to it. There's some, fun, very light-hearted, and then you come in here and it's really creepy. They did a really good job of contrasting the two really well. And then you come to the end, and here's the presumably the carts would actually move from the front to the back, and this is where you end up. So they got the carts themselves, which are mostly staircase landings, a little bit of granite pillars, 2 pillows, a lantern, of course, and then the tires. That's not too comforting. They got skulls in there. But you end up at, I guess it's like the witch lady, the voodoo lady, with all her spells and stuff. I don't know if it's meant that you come and you get a treat for having survived the ride, but lots of candles, lots of eyeballs, a couple of mannequins in their little gooey tubes. Bubbling cauldron of yumminess. Just a very fun little way of coming up with a, it's not like we can animate, our rides and stuff unless, you're Katya and you can weave your witchery like she does. But I like the overall idea of it. If you, again, with a role play troupe that's looking for a place to come and entertain, I'm sure they can come up with some ways of kind of making it a little bit more energetic. But yeah, a very cute plot. So that's Rekka Grayseed's Prostigo Spody Park.